We're once again back with yet another PLE prediction episode with a bumper 12-match SummerSlam card over this Saturday and Sunday. And for the first time in a few weeks, we have a full team here, the Golden Shovel. Right at the end of the show, we're going to debate our favourite WWE title belts of all time and the reasons why. Let's get in there. As we're back to full team, I am, of course, joined by the man who likes to ask, what are we even doing here? Roscoe, how are we doing?
I'm doing good. Hopefully what we're doing here is predicting a 12-match SummerSlam. I mean,
let's say the line. Say the line.
What are we doing here?
Chaos, Ross. And the man whose favourite quotes I can't use in the first 20 seconds due to YouTube guidelines. Daz, thoughts on Sami Zayn?
2 words. Not good enough, Saunders.
Bye, Adam. Right. It's 12 matches, and even if we try and go 10 minutes a match, that's 2 hours and shit to do. So, realistically, we just need to get fired into this. There is not much to say from. Actually, Raw was quite interesting, but there's not much to say for these shows. We're going to have to go straight into predictions and see where we go. Night 1. Let's pick a night. You know what? Let's just start with Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross. It's a Raw match. It usually sits with me, but Daz, I'll let you lead off on this one since your brother's probably currently texting you furiously.
Yeah, he will be. He will be in the WhatsApp just shortly, giving me abuse. Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is necessarily Sami's fault. I don't really understand what we're trying to do here. They touched on it Monday. Are we teasing a Sami Zayn heel turn? I don't know. It's such a really poor way to do it, if that's what we are doing. For me, this needs to end at SummerSlam to finish this programme. As much as I don't think, and Adam, you can quote me on this, I don't think Sami Zayn's world title material. He's better than this current product that he's working right now. He's a top mid-card talent. He's similar to LA Knight, in my opinion. I don't think LA Knight's necessarily like main event level either. So I think they two could definitely carry the mid division at the top level. I don't really understand what we're doing. Cross isn't appealing to me. I won't say too much. I know Ross has got some thoughts on that for tonight. So I'll let Ross go, and then I suppose you can come back and get our prediction. But I really don't give a fuck, to be honest.
See, I was going to say that to you, and Ross, I'm sure you'll carry on.
But don't.
I'm sure you'll carry on the conversation every second here, but for me, this was a feud that I had intrigue in, but they just took so long to actually pull the trigger on it that I was in bored of it. Like, Sami Zayn was working with Punk and Gunther and Jey Uso and almost that main event on Raw, and then suddenly they just went, right, now it's time to go to Karrion Kross. It was 6 weeks after it should have happened. I'm the same as you. I'm done with it. And if you're asking me, a heel turn, they did the heel turn. He was the most popular heel in the company when he was in the Bloodline, and they didn't pull the trigger. So, what Ross, is there any difference this time round, really, for Sami, or is Karrion the guy that's going to come out this strong?
Yeah, I don't understand the fascination that the IWC has with Karrion Kross as a whole. I presume that he has signed this new contract because there was chat that he was going to be expiring just before or on the weekend of SummerSlam. But I was speaking to Daz earlier on, as he alluded to, and I just don't really get it with him. I'm probably not the only one, right? But he's fine on the mic. He's not great in the ring. I don't really understand it. I don't get the fascination either. It's a real shame for where Sami Zayn was flirting with, that scene that he was in. To be put in here is almost like it is an afterthought, but it's an afterthought that has spanned multiple weeks far too long. I could have even understood that this was like a 2-week feud 3 months ago, which we kind of thought it was going to be, and then it just didn't stop. I don't know what we're doing. I do not know what we're doing here.
That's not the line.
It's close.
I'll jump in two-footed and go first. We'll just pull some time back for matches last that we carried ball all the way. I'm going to take Karrion Kross in this match, and I'm taking Karrion Kross purely because that makes it 2-zip and the feud's over. if Sammy wins, we're going to go again and clash in Paris, and I do not want to be talking about this again at the end of the month. So, in hope, more than anything, I'm taking Cross. Daz?
I'm going to go Sami Zayn because nothing ever works out like this for us.
For wrestling
we're going to be forced.
No
We're going to be forced to watch it a third time. So for me, I'm going to go Sami Zayn.
Roscoe?
And I will quite happily round off because at least Sami Zayn is a competent wrestler. So 2-1 to Sami.
Aye, I think from a wrestling feud point of view, that's the right pitch. As I've said, I'm in hope. Right, let's ask the question what we've been doing here. Randy Orton and Jelly Roll versus Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. I don't want to dwell on this.
And neither does Drew McIntyre because he just decided to leave the country.
I've saw the
He's
tweet.
pretending he doesn't have a passport.
I saw the tweets. I saw the stories launched in the river. I'm going to throw this one out there, right, and say that all 4 men in this match deserve better, and that's the issue I have with it. Because I think Logan's better than this. He's good, and he's been a part-time, and this is a waste of time for him. I think Drew and Randy are better than this. They're guys that we both think should be in the world title picture come September, October, November, December, when Cena's likely to possibly, or Cody, drop the title. And I think from a perspective of Jelly Roll, the guy's clearly taking it seriously. You know, he's been praised, which is great, and he's lost a lot of weight, and he's training, and he's looking good, and the bumps he's taken and the moves he's done, either you can tell he's fresh to it. But you know, we've always said if you go in there and do something, take a bump, you'll get credit. But I just think throwing him into the match with these other 3 guys leads us to go, what the fuck are we doing? And that's why I think he deserves better. Roscoe?
Spot on. I cannot disagree with any of that. It's a real shame because even having like a celeb in there, like they do this all the time. Right? This is not a new thing in the E. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. And yeah, when we've got like guys like Drew that we're pegging to be potentially the next guy, the guy.
Sorry, you're doing
Drew pegging. There's a soundbite we can use.
Cut that chat.
I'm saying nothing, but honestly, it just doesn't really add up for me. Like, yeah, I would imagine Orton and Jelly Roll are going to win. Which the more I think about the predictions that the way my head's going, this feels like an awfully predictable night 1. I guess we'll find out as we go through as a group. But I just can't see a situation where Drew and Logan then win this.
There's only one way in which I see that. Well, there's only one way in which I can see this whole thing being salvaged, but I'll save that from a prediction. Daz, you got any comments before we move on to the prediction?
Nothing that you haven't already said. The only thing I would say about this being a tag match is if there's, and this might lead a little into my prediction, but I won't say too much, is that I actually think Jelly Roll might go beyond SummerSlam. I don't necessarily think this will be a one and done for Jelly Roll. I don't think it'll be long term, but I think it might stretch a little bit beyond this.
I think that's
given how much work he's put in.
Aye, it's an interesting proposition though.
A tag match is the perfect way to introduce him. It saves him having to go 1-on-1 right out the gate, and it protects him a little bit. But I won't say too much right now.
I think that's just, again, I know I said it when I gave my spiel in this match, and I'll just clarify once again, no one in this podcast will ever knock anybody for staying foot in the ring, taking bumps and putting moves, especially if they're being praised.
Except Travis Scott.
He's done nothing but he's a dick. But Jelly Roll, like we said, he's been thrown to the lines because he's in with 2 really popular guys and a guy in Logan Paul who does the job as well as anybody else does it. As far as we're concerned, probably the best celebrity. Can you call him a celebrity wrestler anymore? Probably not.
I don't think so.
Probably the best there's been. We'll move into the predictions then. I'll save mine. I'll go because I know what I want to say, but I'll save it for last. I'll save it for whatever we guys. Daz, you just fire into yours in because you said you were trying to hold back there a wee bit.
I actually think that this will go the way of Drew and Logan. But I'm torn because Randy can only lose so many matches in a row. Do you know what I mean? There's got to come a point where Randy gets some sort of payoff. It'd be weird for Jelly Roll. They will win if it's a one and done. Jelly Roll will not lose that match if it's a one and done. I think with the amount of work he's put in at the Performance Centre, it's an awful lot of work for a 3-week programme that he's put in because he's been there constantly. So I'm going to go the way that this actually goes the way of the heels. And I don't know if you've watched it. I binged it all today while I was sorting out my mass card collection. I've watched the entire
That's an effort.
Unreal. It's only 5 episodes, but it is about 5 hours long. So the only thing I'll say, and I'm going to hold on to this, if this is, as you say, Ross, an incredibly predictable night one, Triple H is quoted in it as saying, when it becomes predictable, you must make changes, which makes me think that there's 1 or 2 matches that you think will go a certain way that maybe won't. For me, this is one of them, I think, and the surprise will be that maybe Jelly will go another one, but the only thing that puts me off about that is the next 2 PLEs are abroad, so I can't see it being Clash in Paris, or so it might just even be Raw.
That was the point I was actually going to say, that I don't disagree with it. I think sometimes in this podcast we're always we're really easy to agree with each other, but it's not because we just want to all get on. It's just because we always make points and say, this is my reason for it, and then at that point you're like, well, that's fair enough, it's valid. But that was not hanging through my head is I don't think bringing Jelly out to Paris would work. But you never know.
Check his tour schedule, see what he's got planned.
It's not just that. Is he known over there? Like, if you brought him to Glasgow, would they get a reaction? No. London, maybe, I don't know. But I'm way on the thought process that I'll come to it. I'm way on one of your wavelengths. I'm totally with you on. Roscoe?
What date is Clash in Paris? Very quickly.
3 weeks in Saturday, I think. So whatever day that is. 21st, 22nd, no, 23rd, 24th, must be. That weekend.
He's playing Paris on the 3rd of September.
It's not quite lining up, is it?
It's about a week apart, but he's in Amsterdam the night before. Starts in Amsterdam in the second. Anyway, back to regularly scheduled
podcast. It gives
podcast.
us some options, though. It does give us options. But yeah, as I alluded to, I can't really see this going any other way than...
Sorry, can I just jump in? Ross, sorry. Clash in Paris is actually August 31st. So he is in Paris.
It's
close enough. It's close enough, isn't it?
Never know.
I can't change my mind now, even though that is very, very good evidence for Daz's point. But I'm going to just stick to my guns and just say that, yeah, Orton and Jelly Roll could win this. You could still have another match if something happens post-match. You know, that's the way you've done things. But yeah, I feel like with the effort he's put in, I feel like they'll give him that win now, because he's actually done pretty well. Mic work's been decent. Took a few bumps, laid out a few moves as well. I mean, fair play to the guy.
Black Hole on the weekend was nice.
It was.
I think
I had no idea who he was before this, though. I will hold my hands up. Didn't have a clue who he was, but fair play to him.
I'd heard of him and seen stuff, but
it's called the
I'm the stereotypical person that picked my music when I was 15 years old, and it's not actually changed since then. I'm on the wavelength of Daz that whatever this match is, it's not about this match, it's about what comes next. There's something to come. That's where my head's been.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until Drew put his tweet out and his video saying, taking the piss of Gerald, and I went, oh, okay, I can see something. I'm taking Randy Orton Jelly Roll, right? But the reason is that I just think at some point Drew McIntyre's going to snap back into his whole, what are we even doing here? And saying, hold on a minute, this isn't professional wrestling. I am the best. I am Drew McIntyre. I'm supposed to be the saviour of professional wrestling. I'm meant to be this guy and that guy. And I just think he's going to claim off Logan Paul. And that will be how the end comes. And I think that will set up Logan versus Drew, either Clash or Perth, I think must be the show. Otherwise, I'm really worried about the fertility between McIntyre and Randy Orton. And I also think that that's a good match for Logan. I think, because I do look at the 4 guys and say, well, forget TJ, Randy Orton can't keep losing feuds, Drew McIntyre can't keep losing feuds, and Logan Paul can't keep losing feuds. They're all too good. So I think something's got to give. I'm maybe just overthinking it and overbooking that in my head, but I'm going to have Drew turn on Logan, get a massive reaction, big pop, and then lead to a match, because that's a good enough match for Clash in Paris. I think they're big enough stars.
Yeah, I think so.
And we know Drew will be here. So it's 2-1 for Orton and Jelly, but I think we're all on the same page that it's not really about this weekend, is it? It's about whatever comes in 3 weeks' time or 6 weeks' time, and moving forward. I'm just trying to look at this. Let's do the tag matches next. So we'll do Judgment Day, Raquel and Roxanne versus Charlotte and Alexa. I'll lead off in this one a little bit then, and just say that I think time's up. But I think time's up for Raquel and Roxanne. Their work's good, but I'm actually really enjoying Charlotte and Alexa. They've done something really clever with Charlotte's character a little bit. They've kind of played into the whole, not the insecurity thing, but the little bit of her stepping back and rather than being like the Queen Bee type thing, being a little bit of part of a team. And you've seen that when she walked in front of Alexa and excused herself and stepped back. We things like I'm really enjoying the character work, and I'm worried that when we've talked about Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross and some of their stories this year, if you don't pull the trigger now, when you do pull it, you've done it 2, 3, 4 months too late. So I'm just going to jump straight on my prediction and say that I'm taking Charlotte and Alexa. I could be swayed either way because I think that the Judgment Day probably need to hold the titles until Liv Morgan is back. I don't think she'll be back this weekend, but there's that possibility. But because I'm enjoying Charlotte and Alexa's work, and I think it will help re-elevate those titles, I'm going to take them. Daz?
I want Charlotte and Alexa to win the titles. The reason being that they can't lose again and remain a tag team. So if they're not going to win the titles, then they're going to split up post SummerSlam. The only thing that sticks in my head is the Judgment Day have been due to lose their titles forever, and they seem to retain. I think it was always on the cards that they were going to drop it. I think had Liv been fit, they probably would have dropped it. Then they swerved because Liv got injured. They were trying to play out how long that injury is going to be. They retained because Raquel and Roxanne put in the work. I just don't know. Because my thoughts on this match line up with another match on the SummerSlam card, and without giving too much away, I think they might lose all of their gold at SummerSlam pretty much, which will be the beginning of the spiral. We know about Dom's massive pop, and we'll come to that when we talk about his match. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Charlotte and Alexa.
Is it the same as me? It's in hope as much as anything.
No, I think it is to be, and I do think Liv Morgan will be
involved.
I think she'll be there only because they name dropped her specifically last night.
They had mentioned her for a couple of weeks, and then suddenly it was like, should we call her again?
It was Raquel that name dropped her as well. So yeah, I think.
Because they'd done it every week, didn't they? And then they went sort of 2 weeks without mentioning her there, and then suddenly
she's been dropped back in.
Ross, straight up comments and prediction.
I think we can go 3-0 here. I think that
Charlotte
and Alexa will win this, and I think it's expectation for me. I think it's the next level that this story is going to go to, is they will have those belts, and they will have them for a little while. I think obviously we know, or at least I would guess that we all think that at some point that relationship will come to an end and might accumulate in, I mean, if they run it for as long, a Mania match, maybe. And I think that could be belts on the line or not. Fantastic. But I think this is probably a good time on, the second biggest show that they have to take those belts.
As much as I actually have. Is this the second biggest show they've got? That's a whole other end of the podcast conversation.
That's next week's.
Yeah. I like that.
That's the end of next week's.
But no, 3-0.
You heard it here first. 3-0. That means the Judgment Day retain. You heard it here.
I think that's testament to what the Charlotte and Alexa have done. It's been enjoyable to watch, and I'm 100% in agreement with you, Daz. If it doesn't end with gold on Saturday, it's bye, and I think that would be a shame because we've talked about the SmackDown Women's division, and it's been a bit up this year. This is now the highlight, and we will just mention that for some reason Friday night it's Julia versus Zelina Vega, which they're determined for that US title just to get buried. Anyway,
so bad for her. Yeah.
I feel bad for both of them because I feel as though Zelina should go away from it.
I don't feel bad for Zelina Vega, but
go away for it to come back to it though.
She's the reason it's in the bin. Without getting into SmackDown, but yeah.
Go back and watch on YouTube the first 8 weeks of this podcast.
Yeah, aye, pretty much.
Roman and Jay versus Braun and Bronson. I'll just say, in fact, I'm going to throw it to Ross. Ross, are we expecting chaos in this match?
I should hope so. I mean, that's the whole point of this entire feud, isn't it? Is just a bit of nonsense. I don't really know though what to expect other than that. This is probably the only one where I look at it and kind of scratch my head a bit. I mean,
doesn't matter. The outcome doesn't matter, does it, in this match? That's how it feels.
Potentially to me. Not actually. It really doesn't matter. I guess.
I think it does.
Does it make sense for?
Jump in then, Daz. Jump in.
I think it does, and I'll tell you why. I think it matters because I think Braun and Bronson go over at the weekend. Jay's going to take the pin.
Is it who eats the pin that's there, sure then?
No, Jay's going to take the pin.
Aye, Roman's away.
The reason being that see when this get built up, my concern was two things: that is Seth's injury a shoot, or is it legit? The backstage angle with Braun, Paul, and Bronson on last night's Raw, I think confirms to me that that's a legitimate injury. They're talking about Braun's got a plan. There is a leader. That was his actual words. We do have a leader. So I think these two are going to actually go over. There could even be further interference. I mean, God knows who it could be. But yeah, I think they two are going to go over, and I think that's the only way to make this match palatable, is that it's not just a Roman Reigns and Jey Uso super kick spear fest, and then Roman disappears for a month to film before coming back. I had a couple of away legs, if you like.
Right.
So for me, I think that the only way that this result does matter is if B&B security go over, because I think if they lose again, the stable is no longer viable, in my opinion, because as much as one of them's Roman Reigns, they should be going over Jey Uso at this stage and what they're trying to achieve with that stable.
Ross, apologies. Chaos.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be chaos. And I think that Daz is on the money. I think it would make no sense for Reigns to go over and then him to disappear again. I mean, we discussed not last week, 2 weeks ago. And I think you guys also discussed it last week, if memory serves, when I was listening back, that we think the whole Reigns coming back in the first place to nothing makes no real sense anyway. Once Rollins was injured, work or not, he should have just been told, look, you just taking a longer break and come back post-filming. But yeah, I have been
the original plan
for
this could have been 6 man. I think the original plan for this would have been 6 man. The Usos and Reigns versus Rollins and B&B. I think that was the original, because we did speak about it last week in the pod that we expected them to come back at Saturday night's main event had it not been for the injury. And it maybe delayed it. So yeah.
I'm swithering between Braun and some sort of no contest type thing. Just a sheer beatdown. But what I'll say is either way they'll come out strong. They either win the match or it's just a complete beatdown and that's the end of it. Or a knockout type win. I know it doesn't exist in WWE anymore really, but that type of thing. So it's another 3 for 3. This is the match that to me could be one of those in the Triple H quote that's once it's predictable, flip the switch type thing.
Yep.
But this could go either way. But I think if you have Roman go over, if you have Roman win then disappear, that's an issue. And as you say, that's this stable gone. And I think the reason why I said that doesn't really matter to me is Roman's still Roman. Jay's had his big moment this year, and I'm bored of Braun and Braun. I just don't like the stable. I just don't think it's worked. If anything's got better with Rollins out, not because I don't like Rollins, just because
definitely
these guys are now being shown as stars rather than just being henchmen.
I think Braun spoke more in the last 2 weeks than he spoke since WrestleMania.
And that's the thing he's weakest at. So you to use Heyman to bring him along, give him spots to talk, but don't have him do the 20-minute opening segment. That's what Heyman's for. But give him spots. So I think that's an easy one. So, they need to go for it, look strong, and then they need to start heading towards tag titles. Personal opinion.
I would agree.
I have just brought up something that your brother Dad stuck in our other chat the other day. Not relevant to this match, but I suppose it is relevant to this match. But if you look at the World Heavyweight Championship match, Gunther and Punk have odds on Sky Bet as normal. If you look at the Cody Rhodes John Cena match, there's 3 options: Cody to win, Cena to win, or Rollins to cash in during the match and win a triple threat. So for some reason, Sky Bet are offering odds on the cash in that match. Although this was a couple of days ago, it's probably going to change as we get closer to Smart Money, but not
It's
the
just
World
a very
Heavyweight
specific. It's a very specific odds to offer.
It's a cash in and a win, whereas you could
No,
argue.
and a triple threat match. So it's not even post.
Aye.
Like, it's not even like post match. Yeah. Out of curiosity, what were the odds? And is it still there? No, yeah.
I'm
I'm just curious
um,
because
72, so not great odds.
but it's short enough that
Aye, but Cody was 47 on and Cena was 11-8, so it's far outside the other two, but it's
well, I'm
short.
going to go lump on John Cena because there's no way Cody's going to take the time. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Get to that. But yeah.
Aye. So we're left with 2 world title matches, and we've made some good time to rattle through night 1. I'm with you, Ross. This looks predictable to me, which means it's not going to be. We're going to see some surprises on night 1.
Oh yeah, we're going to end up somehow get 2 right or something by the end of this.
I think that's why I threw in something specific about the McIntyre Logan Paul match. It has to do something for both these guys, because I enjoy Logan Paul's work. Like, what I think is, in a specific example, I mean, like, I think if I could see, like, if Logan Paul tried to do like a drone spot again and Joe just went, "What the fuck are you doing?" and kicks him, like, you get the big Logan Paul spot, and then you get the wrestling spot that comes with it, the storytelling spot. We'll do the women's title match. This is the match that's now really interesting to me. Tiff versus Jade. And the reason it's really interesting is coming to you, Daz, as our lead SmackDown contributor. This was obvious a month ago with Naomi having the briefcase. And we all loved the cash in, and I'm going to put her in horn here and say that we called for Naomi to go to Raw as a heel back at WrestleMania week. That we said that was the perfect move. Well done us.
We did.
But they've done 2 things. They've made a ridiculously good triple threat match on night 2, and they've now given us at least a little bit of intrigue here. I will just jump into it again and say straight away, I can't jump into it. I can't. I'm going to talk about it for 5 minutes. I don't think Jade Cargill's ready to be world champion, but I also think Tiffany's title reigns had run its course. Both things are true to me. Anything for you, Daz?
Yes. So Tiffany's title reign, I spoke about it in the build-up to the last couple of PLEs, has been so stale. It's been really, really poor. Post Charlotte. Charlotte gave it a rub at WrestleMania, and since then it's just not been palatable at all. And it's so bizarre, because when Jade won Queen of the Ring, I thought it was nailed on that she would take the title. And you know me, I said she'd be a 15-time world champ if it was 2015. But I agree, I don't think she's ready. I actually think Trish Stratus might have saved Tiffy's title reign. Because that match was a lift that a title reign badly needed. I don't know if it's enough.
You really like that match in particular?
I did like that match because I thought it put Tiffy in such a good light that she was able to carry a vet through that match. As good as Trish still looked, because she did look great, there were some really nice spots for Tiffy that showed her ring awareness, and that she is actually really good at what she does. The only issue I've got is Jade Cargill might just be too big to bump it's in a SummerSlam world title match, because I think if you don't put her over against the Barbie doll, who does she convincingly take the title off of?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I then have an issue with it that if you put the title on Cargill, nobody can theoretically take it off her unless you move Rhea Ripley or Bianca Belair onto the show. Like there's no feasible answer. Do you know what I mean?
That's where I was going.
And I think that you pigeonhole her title reign into when they make that match up, you know that's when she's going to drop it. For me, it's too early. As what my head's saying. My heart's saying, but my head is saying that Tiffy drops the title at the weekend.
Is that your official prediction?
Yeah.
Jade Cargill?
Cargill goes over.
Before we come to yours, I'll just piggyback on what Daz has said there because I'm in total agreement. So there's no point in me throwing it to you to come back to me. I'm in agreement that it's too early. She's not ready. However, if they don't pull the trigger, that's it. Bye.
Mm-hmm.
They've built her up to this point where I think it's a risk. However, again, is that the Triple H thing of we'll need to change something predictable, make it unpredictable. I think the other thing with Tiffy is she's a potential Rumble winner. So move her away, have her do something else.
Yeah.
You know, she's at that level. So I'm going to just say that I think Jade wins, and I think it's Rhea in Perth versus Jade. I think Rhea will get moved to SmackDown. That's what we'll get because Rhea's winning the title in Perth.
Transitional champ then.
I'm not calling it a transitional champ. I'm going to call it a test. They don't do them, but you know yourself.
It will be a 2-month reign if it is fair.
So you think about Edge. It's the first ever Money in the Bank cash in. He gave him 3 weeks, and he made it. By the end of the year, he'd won the title 4 times because it was like he proved in those 3 weeks he belongs a world champion. So these short reigns aren't bad. It's gauging a crowd reaction. Like Jey Uso, whether you like it or not, is a safe bet to be a face world champion. Should they need someone at any time in the future because they've proven it. So that's what I think we'll do with Jade. It's just to see how it works because my biggest concern is not the in-ring work, even though it's not always clean. She's so powerful that it's still good to watch. But if she comes out, if she opens SmackDown with a 20-minute segment, I'm going to switch off, and it's not her. Yeah. Maybe it is her fault. She's just not great on the mic. She needs like a female manager that is like the female Paul Heyman would be. Like somebody to present her as a package.
She does. She needs an entourage. She definitely does.
Would be phenomenal.
She needs a package on a bit.
I'm not saying Vicky Guerrero, but that type of character. But the problem is Vicky Guerrero. Vicky Guerrero but she can only play the Vicky Guerrero, character. But if she could, before she became that kind of memed character, she would have been a type of person that had like presenting Jade Cargill and just doing that. You know what I mean? Like this powerhouse. That's what she needs. Ross, are you going to remain at 3-0 or are you going to stick with Tiffy?
I think 3-0 as well, but I do want something though a little bit extra that I think I alluded to it 2 weeks ago. And again, I'm not entirely sure how they would do it. I'm not going to sit here and get out my massive whiteboard and script this out week by week, but I really think I want to see Tiffy as a heel with this persona that she's got. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's basically Blake Monroe from NXT. It's not really that far off of it when you sort of draw the lines about how that would go. I wouldn't hate that as the sort of next evolution, sort of post this feud for her to be that, because when you see some of the lines that she was hitting out with in the feud with Trish, it worked. I would like to see lean into that a bit more. I like that bit of it. But yeah, I am in full agreement. 3-0. Obviously, we have our concerns about how long it might last, yada yada. But I think it's Cargo's taking it here.
It is worth noting that Tiffany was called up and was essentially a heel, and she just became a face by being good in the ring, and the crowd reacted to that. And that's what we've been saying since WrestleMania is like I picked Charlotte at WrestleMania not because I wanted, but because I thought it was a time for a slight refresh to the Tiffy character. Not a refresh in a complete repackage, but like you know how like back in the day with CM Punk was a face, he was this guy, but if he was a heel, he was basically saying that by being straight edge, I'm better than you. It was that he played the same character but used it in different ways. That's what I wanted to see from Tiff, and I'm in agreement. It's not that she's become a heel, but just a refresh and see how it looks. That's interesting, but because we said it was predictable now with 3-3-0s. Comments are going to kick us.
There's a swerve in there somewhere, definitely.
Well, maybe the swerve is in the final match of night 1.
Oh, nice segue. Gunther versus Punk.
I'll start.
It's a raw match, and I'm not first. On you go.
I'll start. We're not going to waste CM Punk's title win on SummerSlam, and I know that sounds mad to say we're wasting it at SummerSlam, but it won't go over at SummerSlam. Mostly because it hurts Gunther so much to drop the title so quickly, because the guy's whole persona is long title reigns. That's who he is. That's what he does. Punk I always think about Punk's promo with Cena before the world title match in Saudi, that he doesn't actually want to be world champion because it's not a goal for him. Doesn't he want it? He said that to John in his promo, that was never a goal when he returned. He's achieved his main event at WrestleMania. I think Punk is now in a position kind of similar to Charlotte Flair, where he's here to put others over. Whilst main event is ultimately Punk's spot. He will get his payoff. He will win a world title at WrestleMania. That is coming for him. There's no doubt about it. It'll be his swan song. It'll be his payoff. But it hurts Gunther too much for him to drop the title, and his only successful defence, if I remember correctly, is Goldberg. I think he may have defended it on Raw against Jey Uso, but I might be wrong. But
no, I think you're right. Can you remember when Jey Uso?
I know he won it on Raw.
Because we were going into WrestleMania, though, remember we were talking about the fact that Gunther basically pinned Jey Uso like 4 straight times, and it was a bit of a strange decision.
Yeah, I can't see past Gunther.
It's disappointing, isn't it? Because the outcome has to be Gunther retaining, because, and in total agreement, he's struggling to get past the "you tapped out" chance, or he's not struggling to get past it, but they're always there.
The IWC are struggling to get past that. That was however long ago. I mean, come on.
He needs a convincing title win, is what he needs. He needs to re-establish himself as a top talent.
That's where I am, and my worry is that we do get some chaos, and that Braun and Braun get involved, or do we get a hobbling Seth come out?
No, I think you'll get the Seth Rollins music, but he won't be there.
I think there'll be something done to cost Punk the match, keep him strong, but Gunther has to walk out with that title, because I like him, I like his work, but all this momentum, and I felt as though they took too long to move him to the world title picture from the Intercontinental title picture. And I get they wanted that title reign to be legendary, but it did drag on to the point where you just knew that they were going to wait. They were going to wait until the record was broken and beaten by a while, and then they would move him on, which they did. And then, it's just, he has to walk out with it. Ross, are we going to go another 3-0?
My only thing is, I've seen CM Punk since he came back. His record's actually not been great in singles matches.
It's shite.
It's not good. Yeah. And I don't know if we think that he is going to get the rub, which I agree. I think at some point he has to, and as someone who does have a soft spot for him, because that legendary feud with him and Cena, I mean, that was, in my opinion, the last bastion of good wrestling of that period of time, certainly. I don't know if he can take another L. That's the concern for me, is like, I think everything the pair of you say is absolutely spot on, but I'm really struggling to then say the words, he is then going to lose this and Gunther's going to retain.
But
it's really hard for me to reconcile.
I agree with what you're saying, but it's like, it's Punk. Punk could lose every single match for a year and then still win the main event WrestleMania. We'd all be like, that brilliant.
Yeah, I know. So,
see the doc,
do you know what? I'm going to be contrarian.
It's really, really interesting that you brought that up, Ross, because I'm sure I'm not making this up. There's a scene in the doc where he talks about, you don't actually need to win these matches, just being in them is enough.
I just want to say that we've also been saying that for the last 6 months. You can get over by just being good in wrestling matches.
Yeah,
and
true. Like a loss in a world title match will not hurt CM Punk at all. Folk aren't going to look at him and go, "Well, you're never going to be world champion," because he is that good. You've said
that, and I agree, but I'm now thinking what Ross is saying is also true, that he just lost to Cena last month or 6 weeks ago, and he knows another world title match, and then we're supposed to believe he's going to go into the main event WrestleMania, like, maybe not next year, but the year after.
So wins the Royal Rumble.
I've said
maybe.
That.
There's no way. Well, he'll win Royal Rumble or elimination. He will win at one of the two, and he will get his payoff at WrestleMania. I think they're going to cheapen his moment if they give him the world title at SummerSlam. They'll cheapen the WrestleMania moment.
Ross, do you want to give us a prediction before we...
I think I'll go slightly contrarian and I'll go CM Punk, even though I actually do agree largely with what the both of you are saying.
I think it's
to be honest.
But again, if we're really worried about this potential, like, we saw it with... Remember when Drew was champion during COVID and Vince just decided randomly on a Monday night to give it to Orton and then flip it back 2 weeks later? And then we saw it with Big E's cash in when he went, because basically that call was made that Monday morning. I think they phoned him and said, "Can you need to get to Monday Night Raw tonight? You're going to be champion." And he tweeted out, "I'm going to cash in tonight." They were done because Vince was just at the time going, "I'm not happy with the product." And if Triple H is sitting there looking at Carl and going, because we all know that he knows that big creators, we all know that he watches and listens and reads tweets. If every single person, every podcast clip that he sees is 3 people going, "It's 3-0, 3-0, 3-0," and he just goes, "You know what? We need to do something different." And because Punk would elevate the title on Monday night, we all know that. So I think even if Punk wins, I'd be sitting here going, "I bet you it was Gunther until Friday night." You know what I mean? That's how I feel.
It's highly possible.
See, the thing is, see if you put the title on Punk, who chases him?
So my biggest concern is that I started to think in my head, Rollins cash in on Cena, Punk wins the Rumble, Punk Rollins is your night 2 main event. That's how I was starting to go in my head, and I don't think that's now feasible with Rollins being out. I know Rollins could be back before Mania, but I wouldn't want a rushed build for that match. I'd want that done. I want to see like Monday Night Warfare every fucking week, for 6 months. A bit like what Drew Punk became. Where I know it was done on Twitter for a long time, and then they had like 3 ridiculously good matches, and that Hell in a Cell being for me anyway, a top 10 match of all time for me. That's what Punk deserves. That's what Rollins deserves. That's what that feud would deserve. If that makes sense. And I just think even if Rollins came back in January or February, I just think 2 months is enough.
It's too close. They flip it and then flip it back.
It's enough, but it's not enough. That's interesting. I think that's the thing for night one. We said 40 minutes ago when we started that it was a predictable night one, but there's a lot of scope for unpredictability should they decide to go for chaos.
Roll the dice somewhere.
There's scope for chaos. Night two is let's start with the match that probably we're all looking forward to the most, and then we'll try and claw back in the middle somewhere. It's not quite 6 men in Hell in a Cell, but it's 6 teams. TLC. To me, there's one team that shouldn't be there, but unfortunately, they are the tag team champions. So they kind of have to be there. This could either be so busy that it's hard to enjoy it, or the chemistry that these teams have shown. And to be fair to the White Six, as they've shaken off the ring rust, they've started to look. They're adding to the division rather than just being part of it. This is potential to be match of the year and beyond, surely, because
this division is the only reason SmackDown has been watchable in the last kind of 3 months, because the mid-card division has been poor apart from since Solo Sikoa won the US title, because I don't necessarily think that Fatu's reign was particularly great either, but I don't think that was his fault. The tag division has been on fire and have put on, as Biggie as Sheamus would like to say, banger after banger after banger. And
Biggie would say big meaty men slapping meat.
Big meaty men slapping meat, yeah. And we've been really critical of the booking of the tag division, and that it's always the Friday night before the PLE. They never get a big spot. This will open night 2, I think.
Should open night 2.
I agree, it's too busy. There's too many people in it. I think it should be 4 teams rather than 6. I think had it been different champions, it would have been 4. But the issue I've got with it is there's 12 people in the match with scope for interference from the rest of the White Six. So you could be looking at up to 16, 18 people involved in this absolute.
Look at Ross letting his lips over there at the potential for chaos.
The chaos, I know.
So much chaos.
But no, I think this is well deserved for the division, and it's credit to them for the matches they've put on. Fuck knows who's going to win it. And I'll hold my prediction until you guys have had your say on it, but I think they definitely deserve it. I do agree. I think it'll be a bit too busy. But I do also think it should be night 1, because it would have been match of the night. but I do believe there's a match on night 2 that will pip
I think I agree with everything you've just said. Ross, Daz and I said last week, or I said to Daz and he agreed that some sort of combination of the SmackDown Tag Division, if it was still about at the end of the year, would be the perfect opener for Saturday night's main event for Sarah's last swan song, because I just feel as though these teams are good enough to make some 8, 9, 10-year-old kid just fall in love with wrestling the way that we did watching me personally, WrestleMania 2000, ENC, Hardy's, Dudley's triangle ladder match led to the TLC matches. Jeff Hardy throws off 25 ladders, and I'm like, this is ridiculous, and I cannot wait to just watch this every week for the rest of my life.
And you watched SmackDown the Friday night, and it was Funaki versus Jimmy Wang Yang, and you're like, what? Yeah.
So I'm just like, they've thrown it in now, and I feel like this is a bit of a swan song for the division on SmackDown, and that we would expect some sort of shake up when they get round to it, September, October time. So it's going to be chaos. The good thing is, I think there's scope for it to be a bit of a spot fest, but because there's so many people, you can have a big spot and then have a bit of storytelling in the ring, and then a big spot, and then a bit of storytelling in the ring, whereas it's not going to be like a big spot fest and then everybody's lying on the ground for 20 seconds. I just think this is whoever's producing this match is going to earn their salary this week, isn't they?
It'll be Abyss. I think that'll choreograph this. I think it will be Abyss.
I'm going to see if I can find out who's doing it.
The only thing is, how much time are they going to get? Because 12 people, it needs to go 25 minutes. I think
25 minutes
if you want an actual match.
Ring walks, never mind.
I know, it's just it's going to eat into the card quite a lot, I think, this match, and I'm not sure it will. I don't think it'll be as long as I would have hoped. But I think you're right. I think the amount of spots will make the match feel longer than it actually was. I think you'll get 15 minutes where it will be chaos for 15 minutes. And Ross is nodding his head there with a big smile on his face. For those on audio.
Right, Ross, give your prediction.
My prediction is I am kind of like Daz, is I have no idea. But I think that the ones that probably should win it is actually Andrade and Rey Fenix. I think they're the ones that probably 100%. Deserve to go over here. The team that have just kind of been thrown together very quickly as, these two guys aren't doing too much. Let's pop them together. And it's just clicked. It's been a real, almost breath of fresh air just watching these two go. And don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
I think a lot of the teams in this match are great.
100%, totally agree.
I think this is going to be a great match, as Dad said. I think these two might go over, but I don't think this is the end of this. I think this might continue on a little bit longer with some subsets of these teams, and I am so here for it.
I was so expecting to get cooked this week by saying the same thing, and I'm so glad that we're all nodding away here. And I'm deliberately trying to make sure I say yep and agree, because obviously audio listeners will not see me nodding my head and will not see Daz nodding his head right now. But they have deserved it. They've been brilliant, and it's a bit like the Andrade Melo series of matches just over like a year and a half ago, where they did nothing with them, and you're like, don't waste this again. I'm looking at this and thinking to myself, Rey Fenix isn't going to go to Raw in a shake-up if Penta's there, because they'll try and keep them apart, because if they come together they have to do something with them. So that's why I think
I'm intrigued. So
the reason I'm saying that they could win this is that they would then be the champions and stay in SmackDown when the shake-up happens, and inevitably we've all picked possibly Faction as a team to go to Raw and maybe another. So I think that allows them. I also think that DIY, Fraxium, the Guns and the Profits as established tag teams, you don't have to win. They'll be strong teams, whereas I think if Andrade and Phoenix don't eventually go over, then you've brought them together for no reason. But I also think that having just put the titles on the Y6, that it's a bit like the Gunther situation of like, you kind of need to run with that for a bit more than a few months. So like, I'm going to make my prediction, and I'll come to Daz and he can give us a spiel as well and give us his prediction at the end. So I'm going to say that Andrade and Rey Fenix should win this match, because I think it allows the shake-up to happen and they can stay on SmackDown, because I think we'll keep Penta and Rey apart for a wee while. But I think the Y6 will retain, and it won't hurt the other teams because of the TLC match. I just think they haven't held the titles for too long. Therefore, I would have much rather seen them not win the titles a few weeks ago. Andrade and Phoenix had it now, then even if it was a short reign, and then the YX6 took it on. So I'm taking the YX6, but I agree it should be Andrade and Phoenix. Daz?
Your prediction is the exact same as mine. I do think it should be Andrade. And I'll be honest, I was convinced that Andrade and Rey Fenix were going to win this match until I rewatched a clip of Monday Night Raw at about 7:30 p.m. tonight, and I made a last-minute jump. You said that this team could not go in the shake-up. This team is a certainty to go in the shake-up, in my opinion. Andrade and Rey Fenix are moving to Raw because the interference in the World Tag title match last night, the second El Grande Americano was Rey Fenix. That's who that was.
You sure?
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, lots of people are saying it's Rey Mysterio. I don't think it is. It's not Pete Dunne either. It's too small to be Pete Dunne.
Is it? Aye.
I think it's Rey Fenix. See if you look at him, because Rey Fenix wears a mask. To me, it looks like Rey Fenix. I might have missed it entirely, but to me, it looks like Rey Fenix. And I think that they're the perfect team.
I'm looking at the picture just now, and you're right. The mouth doesn't look like Pete Dunne.
It doesn't look like Pete Dunne.
Pete Dunne's got a really distinctive.
Yeah.
Jaw.
Pete Dunne also has a beard, if I remember correctly. So he'd have had to have shaved in order to, and you wouldn't be able to hide that. He would be seen in public like that. So,
it does.
It looks like Rey Fenix, and I think it's the perfect team to move and put the titles on Raw. I think it's the perfect team. I think they will move Fraxium with them, and what a fucking showcase they will put on in Raw together. Because I questioned it last week when we spoke about the tag title match, why Los Garza were in it. How were they the team? It was purely happenstance that they were the ones, only because they hadn't had a chance recently. Yeah. But the interference last night, I've not had a chance to look at the first one again. I didn't think it looked like Kaiser, actually. I don't think it's Andrade. I don't think he's got the build for it to be Andrade. But I think the second one was Rey Fenix. So for that reason, I'm going White 6, and we're going to move Rey Fenix and Andrade onto Raw.
I'll hold my hands up and say that I've had Raw in the background, but as both you guys know, I'm moving house tomorrow, so I have not had the chance to actually watch it. I've been seeing clips and I've tried my best, but everything I said was pointing to Pete Dunne. Now, having looked at the photograph, I would agree. I don't think. I'm not saying it's not Pete Dunne. It's just saying it doesn't look like Pete Dunne.
Doesn't look like him. Doesn't look like him.
I think this is testament to the work that Andrade and Rey Fenix have done, because they've been brilliant. And I feel like this thing with Andrade, every time we see him in a good feud and he gets time, we're left at the end going, this guy's brilliant. This guy's so good at what he does. The other thing, obviously, that Andrade and Phoenix have is the opportunity to do some Triple A stuff as well. So I've went the prediction that they'll stay in SmackDown, you went they'll go to Raw. Maybe they work both. Maybe Rey Fenix works SmackDown as Rey Fenix and works Raw as El Grande Americano.
That would be amazing, to be fair.
But I think this is a potential match of the weekend contender, but it has to be done right. And as I say, the producers do a hell of a job to make sure that it's a spot fest with storytelling and not just a spot fest.
Definitely.
We're going to have to be quite quick on the next few matches, I think, because we're at 53 minutes recording time, and I feel
there's a couple that deserve quick as well.
And I feel we've been flying through it. I'll go to Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria next, because I think this has been arguably the feud of the summer. It's been done properly. I just think it should have been another triple threat.
I don't think the door's closed.
No,
on that yet.
I agree. There was confusion over the tag team match the other week. Daz, you and I ripped it last week for ages. Like, I just didn't understand why it was announced on Twitter a few hours before the show, and then it happened, and there wasn't really anything happening of it. Because if the match had happened and there had been a heel turn, you'd have went, all right, fair enough, you've thrown it a heel turn, fine, but did nothing with it. It's a no DQ, no count out, last chance match for the title. If Lynch wins, Valkyria can no longer challenge as long as Lynch is champion. Obviously, the stipulation suggests interference. I'll get in a limb. I'll just throw it there and say, right, that's as much as I want to say about the match. The feud's been brilliant. The match will be great. I think it's a conclusive ending.
Yep.
To make sure it's done properly. I'm going to go fucking fantasy mental booking here and say that Bayley costs Lyra and we get a female version of the two-man power trip. for a few months. Fuck it, that's my prediction. Bailey and Becky become this ridiculous belt collecting type power trip. That's my prediction, because anything else, I just think is a case of you didn't need the Bailey thing last week. You didn't need the stipulations in the match. You didn't need another match because they've already had a match with a Lyra Valkyria. Will admit that Becky's a better wrestler. They've done everything. The feud's been brilliant. The match will be great. You now need to make sure you get not the payoff, but you need to get the split of this feud right. Otherwise, inevitably Lyra will lost in the division. Roscoe, anything?
Yeah, I can't really disagree with that. I am like Daz in that I think the door is still open here for this, but let's pretend that it's not a triple threat in the truest sense. So let's just pretend that the match is what it is. I think it will be great. And for me, if it stays like it is, Lyra does probably go over here, I think, and Becky disappears for a bit. That's how I think this might go. Purely because if there's no interference and Becky wins again, I feel like you maybe have just slightly taken the edge off of something that I think we've all, even when we've had our moments of doubt around this feud, we've came back round again. It's kind of like the bit of How I Met Your Mother with 500 miles in the car. It comes back round. So, yeah, I think Lyra will win. If it goes as a triple threat, all bets are off. But I, for one, will be watching. So ultimately, that's what they want. So,
well, I think before I come to you guys, I think that the triple threat was. I mean, we literally called that. I think that week, saying there's going to be Becky, Bailey, and Lyra, and Becky would jump in and take the pin. It was a beautiful transition. It was like in terms of wrestling, it was phenomenal. I think that's why it deserves to have Bailey in this match. I'm with you. Conventional booking wisdom, I'd just take Lyra. I've just decided to go, fuck it, let's just see what happens and go for something totally stupid. Because I think that's the only way that I can stomach this. And again, as well, you're giving us your prediction, your thoughts. Again, let's make the assumption, because we're all kind of on the page that Rollins is out.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Could that
Becky
have any
cannot
bearing?
work full time. She can't even have a full time run if
he's
he's on crutches.
I was going to say the opposite, because he's then available to make sure that Rue's okay as their daughter.
On one leg. Come on.
You can
But
pay
plus,
for help.
Becky was never slated for a full time run when she came back anyway.
Nah,
And
she's
I think
got the Roman
is
treatment.
as serious as it is. I think it allows it to come back if he's going to be laid off to potentially WrestleMania. It allows it to come back earlier than she possibly was originally slated. For me, this will go one of two ways. I thought the door was closed on Triple Threat until, again, last night with the interview backstage with Bailey. What's next? She doesn't know. It will either be Lyra wins, because it is no DQ. I think Bailey will be there in some capacity. She will be involved. Lyra will win. If it's Triple Threat, I think Bailey will win and take the title. But I'm going to go conventional booking because that's the match that we've got in front of us right now. Lyra Valkyria wins and Becky takes some time off.
I think if it goes triple threat, I would also take Bailey, because I think there's legs in the Bailey Lyra feud, and Lyra still goes over. Lyra goes over in that feud, and because my worry is that if Lyra goes over without the Bailey interference, then she has to drop it to Bailey to then go win it back. And I think you risk just repeating the same series of matches she just had with Becky. So definitely conventional booking. If we go conventional booking, I think it's 3-0.
Yep. Another one.
With Lyra. I think if, as I say, I'm happy to go the other way and just go pure chaos 2-man power trip type thing. But conventional wisdom suggests that this conventional wisdom and booking tells us that this feud has been absolutely perfect from WrestleMania to now. Get the payoff of the feud right and move everybody on. Yes, Lyra
hard to argue with that.
Lyra was a stud and deserves it. And to be fair, I was going to point out again one thing for last night. I loved the fact that she didn't get caught out getting sneak attack from behind. Like, it's happened one too many times. It's as if wrestlers are learning. You know, there is a brain in there that works, and she's like just turning in at the drive-by kick outside of the ring. Let's do another relatively quick one. Solo Jacob Steel Cage. I will allude. I'll come to your Daz first before we'll do a quick run the table before we go to predictions. Yeah. I will allude to what you said earlier and say that Jacob's been brilliant since he came into the WWE, but his title reign wasn't great. But is that is the issue with his title reign as simple as it was always going to be Solo to take it from him. Therefore, everything up until Solo being involved was not filler. We were waiting, and then when Solo was involved, it was like, right, now we just need to pick the right time.
Yeah, pretty much. When he took the title, he probably only had one contender in LA Knight, and LA Knight's Hardy's run with the title. Yeah, I think this one, for me, I actually think will be the one that eclipses the tag matches match of the night. I actually think that this is going to be a really, really good wrestling match. Solo is my favourite person on SmackDown right now. Everything about him, I think his character's great. I think his stable's great. Big boy in the back still looks a bit awkward, but he'll find his feet. Big Tagalonga. MFT will play a part, no doubt. Big Jim will be there in some capacity as well. There will be Ross's favourite thing, chaos. There'll be folk climbing cages and all sorts. Solo wins, shake hands, everybody moves on, unless we're getting Battle of the Bloodlines or something in the future.
There's definitely an interesting point as well as to where this match goes, because you think, so could it go first to allow them to lower the cage, get out the road? Does it go on late? Because the two matches...
It'll go on pre-women's world title.
Aye, that's where I think it'll go.
It'll go on there, whenever that's slated to be.
Because my other consideration is it, does Dom and AJ go after it, because you could trim that as a singles match, but they deserve time.
They'll split the two title matches.
Aye, I think you're probably right. Well, let's just jump into the prediction of this one. It's been a long, long story. Again, it feels like one of these stories that they now need to get the payoff right and move both guys to different stories.
Yeah, I love the stipulation so much. I think it's a really, really good way of rounding this off. I don't know if I'm going to go against the grain here, though, in that I think this is Solo's. I don't know. That's not against the grain. Well,
that's just took Solo 30 seconds ago.
No, I agree he has, but I'm meaning more in terms of like the guys at home, like, let us know through the fan mail link in the show notes or on social media.
I'm going to use Adam as a Adam shout out again on the pod.
The yardstick.
Adam actually, Adam texted me the other night and said that listening to me on this podcast, he's now all aboard the Solo Sikoa train, and I don't think he's alone in that. I think this title reign is actually showcasing Solo Sikoa to a lot of people that he is a serious, because he was always the right-hand man, the enforcer. He is a serious contender as an actual champion, but he's also funny, and he's also good on the mic, and he's really getting a chance to showcase everything in this title run. And I think it's kind of similar to Dom's title run. I think it's the kind of thing that could actually make him a main eventer.
You know what's really interesting, and just what you said there, I've always liked Solo. As I said to you earlier, I was worried about getting lost in the shuffle. We all were. We said that when it was WrestleMania time, and then we said to show Casey's character. He's got the potential and ability to be a bit like a Randy Orton or Drew McIntyre type character, where you're never really sure if they're a heel or a face. He's just him. Like, he just plays this character, and he's a character that you like because he's talking sense, and what he says makes sense, and he's right, and he's, you know what I mean? It doesn't need to be a heel or a face. It's just an interesting wrestling character, and depending on whoever he's against, depends how he plays up to either side of it.
My pick for the Elimination Chamber.
I'll before I come back to you, Ross, are you taking Solo? Is that?
Yeah, I think so. I think he will retain.
My biggest worry with this match, and anything else in general that's happening, is that Jacob came in as like this freight train of like, wow, star, and the US title almost hurt him. Like, it felt like it held him back a little bit because we knew the Solo feud was coming. He's dropped the title. Conventional wisdom can go out the window here. But the suggestion is somebody like that losing 2 in a row isn't good for him, because he had so much momentum and it could stall it. But I'm also
it's about the manner and how he loses it.
Don't waste what Solo's got. But my worry again with Solo is like they've struggled to get people from the, like, apart from Gunther, they've struggled to take people from the mid card to the main event in the last couple of years. Like, it looks difficult. Like, I know JS have technically done it, but the Bloodline's like the exception that proves the rule a little bit, because if it wasn't for Roman Reigns and the fact that the Rock's on the board, he probably hasn't won the world title. It's what I'm saying makes sense. Like, I'm picking Solo because I think that Jacob needs to move away from these guys, and Solo needs to do what we said last week and the week before and every other week is, can he carry a feud with someone who's not Samoan? The answer, I think, is yes, but go and show us.
Definitely can.
Go and show us.
I think he definitely
go and do
can.
it.
Because
go and do it.
See the programme he done with John Cena? It was very, very good. We haven't seen it, and that was really early in his stint, which obviously was the build up to the Avengers at WrestleMania. But yeah, I think it would hurt Solo more than it would hurt Fatu.
Yeah.
Fatu is easier to move into the world title picture right now. He's a bit like Steph Curry, he's so over. But realistically, how does he get in? Because the world title picture right now is John and QB3. So how do you get him into that picture?
I don't think Fatu's good enough for world title.
I agree, mate. And that's probably controversial. I think Solo will be a world champ before LA Knight, Sami Zayn, and Jacob Fatu. I think he's better.
Not that Fatu's not great in the ring, but I just, as a package, I don't look at him and see face of the company carrying the business. It's not like it was 25 years ago.
I think he's a main event talent. I just don't think he's a world champion.
Yeah, aye. Clip that and watch us get kicked on TikTok this week. That was meant to be a short one, but I think there's intrigue with Solo. Isn't there? That's what it is. There's intrigue in me for we like talking about and we want to see what comes next. Let's just flip straight over to the mid card on Monday Night Raw.
Don't want to talk about it.
I just want to say one thing. I'll come to Ross. That pop in AAA for Dom Mysterio, like, again, what I just said 1 minute ago, I'm going to ask this question now: is how did they transition Dom from where he is? Because, spoiler alert, I think AJ will win the IC title before he retires.
100%.
It could be this weekend. I'm not going to give him a pitch me, but I think he will win it. I think
you're alone in that.
He's a safe pair of hands to not bury Dom in the way because of who AJ is. He's a legend. But how are they going to transition Dom? Because he has world champion popularity right now.
Mm-hmm.
So how? That's what I'm asking you. I'm asking you what's next? What comes next?
It's a tricky one,
this
isn't
weekend,
it?
A few weeks away.
It's a really, really tricky one because this is probably not a situation where you're going to miss the chance to pull the trigger, because I actually do think he has legs. Like that, like him as a person has legs that you don't need to do this weekend. But you could see a situation where, and Daz and I had a chat earlier on off air, and I'm probably going to end up stealing his idea here, but you could actually have a situation
I was going
Oh,
to say, I can already tell by the look in your face. But yeah,
you could see a situation where he goes into AAA and holds the title there, loses this title, runs with it for a little bit, flirting back and forth, and then at some point you then just bring him over to actually then go back into the world title picture.
I think,
like on whatever brand.
I think if you look at
choose.
Trick, I think, see what they've done with Trick in
Yeah.
TNA. I think they've found a winning formula to help guys get from mid card to world title. I think they've found a winning formula. That guy will be AAA champion. And a matter of weeks, it will not be a slow burner. It will be a world champion.
As you're saying that, I just want to point out once again that I think when you were on your holiday in May, Ross and I discussed, and I did say Trick Williams to TNA as world champion would be a really interesting position to put somebody like that. And can he carry a company and a brand?
Definitely.
And they pulled the trigger like a few weeks later. Like, it was ridiculous.
What it also,
I'm in total agreement with what
you
guys said.
It also does is, because Dom is incredibly over. He is, and he's getting the right type of press. What he really needs to do is fine tune his in ring, which is getting so much better. And AAA is the perfect place for him to go and do it. You know what I would really, really like, and this is a wee bit fantasy for this because I don't understand how they would work it. I would love Ray to be his manager in AAA, because obviously Ray's in a long layoff himself right now. I would love them to go and be a duo, because I think it would really, really help him solidify his place as a world champion. Yes, I'll start with the prediction because it's the one that's going to hurt me the most. AJ is going to win the title this weekend, and I made the kind of call earlier that the women's tag titles are going to change hands. I think Judgment Day are going to lose a lot of their gold. I think we are just going to be left with Finn and JD, but I think that's coming as well. That's in the post, I think. So I'm going to go AJ wins because I think it also gives intrigue to the actual main event of night 2. And if QBC does win, if we are not booking John Cena versus AJ Styles in Paris, what the fuck are we doing?
Ross,
I love it.
rebuttal?
I can't. I love that fantasy booking. we love a bit of fantasy booking on this show, and that is the kind of thing that I can absolutely get behind. Look, I do love the idea, so I actually don't really hate whichever way this goes this week. I kind of want to see. I feel like this match is going to be a banger, and I feel like I want to see it again before I've even
8
seen
minutes.
it. You think so?
It won't get airtime. It'll be wedged in between the two world title matches.
That's my
It'll be
worry.
8 to 10 minutes. It'll be kind of similar to his
Shame, man.
impromptu match with forgive me, Triple A talent whose name I forgot. The Octo, whatever his name is.
Octagon Junior.
Yeah, Octagon Junior. Yeah, apologies. I'll know a lot more when I start watching Triple A for Dirty Dom. But yeah, I think it'll be similar to that. It'll be
This match could cook in 8 minutes. Like that's the thing.
I don't think it'll be a bad match in 8 minutes.
No.
I think it'll be 8 to 10 minutes max in between the two world title bouts. And AJ will go over.
Maybe I'll take the idea of his 8 to 10 minutes leaves us wanting more, and Dom will retain.
I think they'll run it back. They will run it back.
I'm actually. I could flip a coin and just let it decide for me. And as you were talking, Dazin and as Ross says, I was in agreement with Ross actually that knowing that it's Clash in Paris, knowing the reaction that AJ got in France last year,
Needs a strap on him.
Would they find a way just to have Dom retain this weekend and then have AJ go over and take the win in Paris, just knowing that they'll...
I just think that the Triple A pop would have been too soon if you're not going to take the title off Dom.
And I think the biggest risk is, I think AJ Styles can beat Dom and it can be fine. I think if it's somebody else that beats him, I think you won't get the crowd reaction that you need.
You need it to go to a guy who is going to win the title because he needs it.
And I think that Dom's next few feuds are laid out. Like we'll get Dom versus Finn at some point, and we'll get Dom versus somebody else, and whatever. You know, he can feud with AJ for a couple of weeks. He can then do the Triple A bit, then get the Finn Balor feud.
See, because we're potentially going down the route of Trick and the TNA World Title, I don't know how much Dom's actually going to feature on Raw as Triple A champ. He will be on Raw, but I don't know how much he'll actually feature.
Everything in my head had me up until an hour ago that I was taking AJ in this match. And I'm going to just go ahead and say that I want to see twice. I'm going to take Dom and hope that we get it in Paris. But, nah, fuck it. I'm picking AJ. I'm sticking my guns. I don't know if Dom's injury was legit or not, and I wonder if this would have happened a few weeks ago.
Of course it was legit. He had a doctor's note.
Because what I mean is, would they have dropped this on Raw, then done the Triple A run, and that would have been the start of the Triple A, and this match wouldn't be happening this weekend? And is this why it's now this weekend?
Possibly. Certainly possible.
And I think I'll just stick with my original prediction and say that there's a severe risk that if they don't do this weekend, because like most people could watch this match this weekend, watch AJ win the title and say, right, I get it, because they have a plan for Dom based on that run last week, as you've just said. I think if they don't do it, when they do take it off, everybody will be going, what the fuck are we doing here?
100%. It's one of the only titles I think I'm comfortable with how they've booked it. I think they'll get the IC title right. I do think it'll be AJ this week, and I'm not going away my prediction by saying this, but I think it could be a best of 3 between Cena and AJ if that's the route they go down. Paris, Australia, and Survivor Series.
And we'll no jump ahead too far, but depending on what they do with Cena in the WWE Championship, there is a possibility for AJ versus John for the IC title later on in the year. If, as we discussed with somebody, I think on TikTok, and I apologise for the guy who commented. He was saying that is Cena dropping the title the rub? Is it two separate things? And I think I'm still in the park of, if they don't take the title off Cena in the next 6 to 8 weeks, then it's one thing. They have to do it early enough that they can then rebuild and make the rub a second thing. But if that gets to October, November, it's too late. It's the same thing. That is the rub and the title changes. So we'll stop there because we're going to end up done. This next match is one of the matches that, for me, and it's the women's match on Raw, so I get to do my bit, is either going to be a top 10 match of the year, or we're going to be so looking forward to it and it's not going to work and we're going to be disappointed, not because the people in it aren't good or they're bad or whatever, just because the women's triple threat matches this year have all been absolute bangers, and we're expecting, like, I think right now these are the three best women in the world professional wrestlers. I think Io and Rhea are phenomenal, and we can go up and down and say other people, right? But what I mean is, like, we called it the WrestleMania week when we said Naomi is a heel on Raw. It's perfect, and she has been phenomenal. Whether you think her in-ring works up there with some of the other people that we've talked about and the people in other companies, I'll be happy with that conversation. But I mean, the character she's currently portraying is brilliant. The cash-in was brilliant. I'll just throw a prediction out there straight away and let you guys talk. I think it has to be Naomi retain, because if it's not, there's a waste of 6 months of character build for the top heel in your company. On the women's side anyway, she is the number one heel and she's brilliant. So it's too early. I think Rhea's going to SmackDown, or Io. They have to move them apart at some point, because as much as their matches are brilliant, they can't repeat the same story. So I think Rhea's going to SmackDown before Perth, and I think Naomi retains here, and I think ultimately the payoff will be Liv Morgan at some point, assuming she stays on Raw. So there's a night 2 has, in fact, the whole show has the potential to be match of the years. There's lots of them. This one, if they get the time, and this could be the match that opens night 2, because they'll probably give them 25 minutes. Even though I think the TLC match should open up, they might get 20. They might go first to give them the time. So Naomi retains, potential match of the year, but a risk that we're so invested in these women's triple threat matches, which have just banged all fucking year, that it just, because, like, Lyra, Becky, Bayley was brilliant. The Mania triple threat was also brilliant, and there's been a couple with the Tiffy reign that have worked well on SmackDown. So I'll come to Ross first. Anything on just general thoughts on the match and prediction? Like, is what I said make sense, or is this going to be a banger?
I think it's going to be a banger. I think it's going to be an absolute banger. I think we're in for a treat, because, you know, like, it has been the women's wrestling that we've seen from these three, the promos, the character work, it's been unparalleled at times, if I'm honest. And I would be pretty happy if this just kept on continuing to the end of time, but at some point I'm going to get sick of it. So some point we're going to have to pick a winner. If we think that Rhea is going to go and win a title in Perth, which just makes logical sense, I think we're all in agreement there that just makes sense. It then leaves Naomi and Io. And I don't think Io needs to win to be as over as what she is, because she could back it up in the ring, but, like, literally anything she says with a mic in her hand, people are, like, hanging on to every word. And English is not our first language. Like, that in itself is a skill that I think we would all love to have. And Naomi retain just lets that character keep on going, lets the run keep on going. They've done really, really well to get her to this point. I want to see more of this. I want to see more of this just unhinged, maniacal promo work. It's great TV. So just keep it on her. They can come back to this in a year. Like, they really could. They could run this in a year or 6 months again. I'm okay with that. But Just keep it where it is, but give us an absolute classic.
That is, I'm going to try and set you up here for your ending. Whether you agree or disagree with us both taking Naomi's, obviously your call, but if you agree, or even if you don't agree, if Naomi retains, how? Because who takes that pin? That's one they have to get right.
Yep.
And then also, people talk about the Rhea Hogan stuff, and I know we're using that as a bit of a term these days. Maybe we should stop using it. But every time that music hits on Monday night, the arena goes fucking nuts. And ultimately, that's all that matters. Like, we can get fed up with the same people holding the world title, but
when you're that undeniable, you don't really have a choice.
Nah, she's too good. But anyway, prediction, thoughts?
I don't disagree with what you've said. For pretty much across the board, Naomi will not win this weekend.
I like it.
And it's mostly because of what you said. Rhea Ripley is far too over for her to lose another title match. She essentially had it won pre-cash in. I think Rhea pins Io Sky. I don't think Naomi takes the pin. I think she'll pin Io and finally get a pin win over Io. She will hold the title 6 months maybe. She'll definitely go to Perth as champion. I don't think she'll win it in Perth. I think she'll go to Perth as champion. I think it, as much as I don't want it, I think it makes sense for Naomi to go back to SmackDown and chase Jade Cargill. I think that makes sense. I don't like it. I think it makes sense. Because they've never actually announced that she's moved to Raw. She was just the world champ by happenstance. That she cashed in on it because you get to pick. So for me, Rhea Ripley is the new women's world heavyweight champion.
That's even though that I've picked against you, I'm in total agreement. Like, I can't say that I disagree, because Rhea Ripley is the most over star in the whole company. Yeah, she's getting better reactions than anybody else.
I think that's why they let Naomi get the cash in so early, because they knew that when they put the strap on Rhea, she couldn't take it off her.
Aye. Because there's always the bit that they will need to revisit Rhea and Liv at some point.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think if Rhea's the most popular, if babyface Liv Morgan's probably number 2 on that brand.
No, 100%.
And I don't. And I think it's an interesting point that you raise, and I'm sure Ross will probably agree that we all, up until about 3 weeks ago, went the feud post SummerSlam will be Jade versus Naomi, and I guess they could flip back to that.
That could still happen.
It would be a shame, Ross. It would be a shame though if
100%.
If the Money in the Bank was just used to protect 2 people or somebody in a pin. You know, like it did.
Not unheard of though with the briefcase. A lot of the
I know.
The title wins are short off the back of
the actual title is having the thing and holding it
just
for a
while.
while.
You put her in the ring with the 2 best in the world, it's impossible to book her as a winner. In my opinion, it just is.
Absolutely one of these matches that we talk about every week and say you don't have to win, you just have to perform in the match and you'll come out looking strong.
100%.
Maybe this is the match where we get a twist.
That's
what I think.
Aye, it's possible. We're at 1 hour 23 minutes. Blame the bumper SummerSlam card. Just keep going. We've got Cena in QB3, and then we've got to do the end of the show showing and the Golden Shovel. Let's just award the Golden Shovel right now to the fact that the US title, women's US titles in SmackDown.
Yes.
So we'll move on for that. Angelina's still challenged for it. We'll just leave it there for the next 6 months.
I actually think our reign with the Golden Shovel's been better than our reign with the title.
It's up there with some vacant runs. It really is.
Aye, it's definitely that type of domination. So I don't know where to start with this, because I feel as though you have to leave this match to last, and I feel as I'm looking at the clock going that I know if we post this as a 2 hour fucking podcast then nobody's going to watch or listen to it, but I'm also just want to rant about it for half an hour, so we'll just see how we go on. Let's see if we can get under 10 minutes, but Daz, it's a SmackDown match. I've got to come to you first. Cena versus Cody, go.
I did say it earlier in the pod. Rhodes won't take the world title. Now, there's an obvious avenue that this is the perfect time for Cena to drop it, because there is enough time left to build a Intercontinental title run, but let him become a Grand Slam and let him give somebody the rub. Potentially someone like Carmelo Hayes if it's a mid-card title that he's going to drop. And it's a Saturday night main event. That title can change hands on that card. Like, that makes logical sense to me. I think they'll pivot because Rollins was probably going to take the title this weekend. I think that was probably the booking. And it's the only way I would have been happy to see John drop the world title would have been that in this scenario with Cody Rhodes involved, because we've spoken about it before. He's been booked as Super Cody, and putting the title back on him, he can't be transitional. So if he takes that title, he takes it to WrestleMania. There's no way he drops it before Mania. And I think you will then get Cody Punk if he wins the title when Punk wins the Rumble. So I'm going to say that they're going to pivot and keep the belt on John. I don't think it'll be incredibly long term. I think he'll drop it in Paris. They might have something different lined up for him. And it might even be a bit of a swerve and a bit of a surprise. It might give somebody the rub that we maybe thought we'd get it a little bit later. And again, we can talk about that. If he's still got the title, we can talk about that in next week's pod and how that looks. But for me, Cena retains on the basis that Seth is actually injured. But I think the actual booking could be a Seth Rollins cash-in, assuming it is a massive, massive swerve.
Ross, this is one of these ones where I always like to try and have context and questions, because even though I know you guys know what you want to say, it just keep the conversation. But this is one of these stories and matches that, as John Cena fans, are so invested in, that just talk and give me all your thoughts. It's literally started in January and is going to go into December. And what do you think? What do you think? Well, now basically,
this is a really interesting one for me because of the fact that obviously we have the elephant in the room of John Cena is not a full-time superstar and has these big breaks in his schedule. However, I've just had a quick Google there as Daz was speaking, and obviously he is booked to be there on August 8th, August 22nd, August 29th, and August 31st between SmackDown and Clash in Paris, and then all of September off. To me, that absolutely solidifies that he is going to keep this belt, because he's going to then be on the show immediately. Unless they're going to take it off of him and build it, but it makes no sense when Cody's immediately disappearing to film a movie to put a belt on him and then go, right, see you later. I think this is set up for Cody to lose and then come back and hopefully be heel. That's just kind of how I would like to see this go. I don't have any real idea how they then go from there, if he's actually going to be appearing on a couple of episodes in the lead up to Clash. I don't know. It's actually one of the few matches on the card that the more I think about it, the more I actually kind of don't like it. There's just too many ways where I keep on running into...
I've not liked it for day one. But we said that back at WrestleMania week that this was like the SummerSlam match, and none of us wanted it then. Really?
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
it's just everywhere I look, in every avenue I try and like, oh, well, okay, what if, Cody wins and X happens? I keep on coming up with, but I don't like that, or that doesn't quite work for me. Whereas I think a lot of the other matches and a lot of the other feuds, yes, there are some ways that can upset and frustrate you, but there's a lot of, that would be nice, this can go here, oh, that sounds quite pleasant. This is just it's like they've booked themselves
Quite
into
pleasant.
a corner a little bit here.
Can you get a t-shirt? Quite pleasant.
Quite pleasant.
Maybe that could be our first bit of merch. But yeah, I think Cena will retain. I just don't really like it without a fit and healthy Rollins.
I'm happy to have a conversation around who wins the match versus who walks out with the title, but I've also buried it away in the back of my head that the whole idea of then getting a lawyer to say I clearly didn't sign that contract after the fact would be silly. Like, you would have the lawyer deal with that now. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's a street fight, which I like that, and that we're not going to get... They had to do something different from Mania because that match was not enjoyable. So it can be a bit brutal and a bit of a fight. Again, interested to see how they do a street fight or how they do these types of matches in the stadium, because I know you can go out and about, but how far do they venture will be interesting. I'm torn because as a fucking lamb, I'm not torn at all. I don't want Cody Rhodes to be champion. And I don't even want heel. Like, I feel as though if he turns heel as he wins the title. It's too similar to what we did with John back at Elimination Chamber at Mania. Like, I'd rather see Cody turn heel and then chase the title. Like, I can accept it even if I don't
Cody's
like it.
heel turn shouldn't come against John Cena.
It shouldn't. And I just think that SummerSlam is the right place for John Cena to drop the championship if we're going to have him chase the IC title, or we're going to rebuild to allow him to basically give the rub twice, i.e. to a champion and then to someone else in the elevation. Like, fancy booking ahead. I'd love to see him fight AJ, win the IC title, Dom Mysterio in the way the door. Ideal, because Dom's a guy on that path. I don't know for a fact that when we get to the end of the year, I'm probably going to mute it to you guys. Just monologue about John Cena's last 25 years.
I suspect that we will probably have to do a special episode.
That we all dress up as an iteration of John Cena for their lad podcast. One can be the Thugonomics. Saunders, you're the host, so you need to be OVW, the prototype. You need the big spiky hair. And Ross, you can either be Fruity Pebble or you can be the Final Run if you like.
Or just an old man with a pen spot. I mean,
we need to find a way to honour the guy properly.
Aye,
it's the right time, but I do agree, Saunders, back on topic. It's the right time for him to drop the title if he's going to drop it.
But it's not the wrong guy. It's the wrong guy. And
it's the wrong time for that guy to see for being really pragmatic about it, probably is the right guy if you really want to pass the torch, right? We fucking don't like the guy, right? But
I do. I do like him. I don't like him as a champion. Yeah, I do. I just don't think that anyone should have back-to-back Rumble wins, back-to-back WrestleMania events. Having the greatest run to the title that's ever happened, to a 2-year build to the championship.
Especially when
beating Seth Rollins, beating Roman. It's
in the face of everything that he spoke about in his build to taking the title off Reigns. That you're a part-time champion, you're not going to be here, so you're going to take the belt and then just take a month off.
But no one else. King of the Ring, back-to-back Rumbles, destroying Seth Rollins in your feud. There's no adversity, and I feel as though you have to overcome adversity. It's part of a traditional story, and you could turn around and say that. You could turn around and say that overcoming adversity was losing to Roman Reigns the first time, and I'm like, but losing in the main event of WrestleMania in Los Angeles in front of 80,000 people after winning the Royal Rumble, after been away from the business for 5 years, that's not being buried. That's performing in the biggest stages of them all and proving that
that's
when the
been given a golden ticket.
That's improving that when the time is right to pull the trigger, you've proven that you're at that level. The guy's a great champion. I just don't think in this situation it's the right move, unless somehow Dwayne gets involved, and I don't necessarily want that either, because I think that's just going to ruin everything again. I have seen. I would
be more invested in Dwayne if Dwayne would take the title off him, but Dwayne's not going to go to Paris or anything like that. So
I think the fact that Cena's, something. I think the fact that Cena's booked every week and booked for Paris before he goes away suggests that he retains. But
who takes it off him in Paris then?
That's where it's going to be interesting. Certainly a few dates in August. He's got 2 in September, Crown Jewel, Survivor Series, his retirement match, and 3 unannounced dates.
Do you know who might get the rub?
No one knows where that fits in yet.
Do you know who could get the rub? I actually think LA Knight might get the rub.
Yeah, maybe.
Because he's not got anything for him right now. But we can as I say, we can discuss all this next week if he's still got the title.
That's definitely an end of the show total segment that we can spin off another video, because this is one of the matches a bit like the Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul situation, where I'm almost wanting to turn and say that both guys just deserve a bit better. Like, if Cody doesn't win, you're like, well, that was a fucking waste of King of the Ring and everything else. I know, but if he does win, we're all going to be sitting here going, oh, for fuck's sake.
But see, to be honest, is there anybody in that King of the Ring tournament that you would have had take the title? I've seen it at SummerSlam outside of him.
No.
So there you go.
Randy,
but no. I know, but it doesn't really matter if he wins.
No. I just, it's just disappointing when, like, maybe we can clip this and bait some engagement on TikTok, but like,
Master Bator.
We've actually got so many things we need to think about whether we can somehow squeeze in end of the shows and spin them off. But like as Ross said earlier about SummerSlam being the second biggest show of the year, we'll debate that either next week or the week after, depending on how we think how Cena's run's going to go. But we're already thinking what's the Mania matches. whereas we used to think like that would start thinking that at the Rumble, and I feel as though every year it's getting a wee bit earlier. But, a few years ago we were starting to think about it come War Games, Survivor Series, saying, well, there's your 5-on-5, the two top guys will be a feud going to Mania. Now we're already sitting here thinking, right, every single match on this card is the end of a feud. None of it is like the midpoint of a feud, if you know what I mean. Like, it still could, because SummerSlam still could be like a feud can have match 2 and then match 3 if you're doing the line, or it leads into the 5-on-5 stuff at Survivor Series. But right now we're looking at this as that every single match here has to end a feud so that we can then move on to the next one, and that just feels wrong. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel right. Like, it's match 2, night 2 could have 5 buyers, and no matter what happens in that match at the end, we could come away with a bit of silver testing with. That's to me, that's a real risk. No matter who wins, like, because even if John walks out the title, we're all sitting here going, well, yeah, he had to. Yeah, he just had to.
Definitely. Unless they've pulled off the greatest swerve, and God knows how long and Seth is actually fit. I mean, the place will pop if that's the case.
I was against that up until a couple of years ago, and I thought, you know what, as much as I think it would be, it's an interesting book. Like, I don't like fake injuries that, like, you know, when you get the fake injuries, he's got a left leg contusion taken to a local medical facility, and you're like, okay, cool, that's the terminology, we know it's fine. That's different from this. This was like his career's fucked type of injury.
I know.
Like, I don't like it from that perspective, but I'm now in a situation where, like, to me, that would just save this situation, because you could then do Cena versus Rollins in Paris. That's your Paris match before he takes a break. And I totally agree with Ross is saying that Cody can't win then disappear for a month. That's just silly.
It makes no sense.
It's, again, I'll say it again, it's John, but it's John because of the circumstances around everything. It's not because that's the right move necessarily.
There's another possibility that we've not even considered. Remember we mentioned last week very briefly that Crown Jewel could be champion versus champion. Could it be Cena versus AJ for both titles? Johnny 2 belts?
I'm making the assumption that that's going to be this Grand Slam title with the world champion versus WWE champion.
No, you could. I'm just spitballing, but yeah.
That's another reason. Like, if that's Cody and Gunther again, then that's a fucking problem.
I wouldn't watch it.
No, I wouldn't watch it. To me, that's a problem. Right.
Let's go on it, because I want to talk about it.
End of the show. I'm looking forward to this segment, right?
Me too.
I'll record this bit and then say this is a kind of potential intro for spinning this off into a 6-7 minute episode later in the week on the podcast. But last few weeks in the end of the show, I've decided to start saying to the guys, look, let's just have a wee quick 5 minutes to talk about this topic, and we'll just agree in advance whether we have rebuttals and conversation or whether it's just, here's my thoughts. So a couple of weeks ago, we booked fantasy about Cena's last match, and between us we came up with an I Quit match refereed by Kurt Angle versus Joe Hendry, which certainly 2/3 of that we're all right with. I'm all right.
I know.
And we've tried to do the same with a couple of cups. So last week, Daz and I ran down the finishers that Seth Rollins ran to his top 10, see where it takes us. So this week, I asked the guy to have a think. Your favourite championships of all time. Now, before I come to you guys, I will just say I will accept any answer in any reason. So you could turn around and say that I really liked this championship because it was the championship when I was 8 years old, and it's what Stone Cold or Hulk Hogan or Undertaker or whoever held. Now, preface that by saying that none of us grew up watching Hogan, so unlikely to be that.
Rest in peace.
But what I also say is, if you turn around and say, you know what, I'm going to pick the hardcore title because it was complete chaos back in the day, then that's fine. So you can have looks, you can have nostalgia, you can have the person who held it, whatever the reason is. That's your job, you're dying, so I'm just going to let you go. I can see he's like, please lean forward.
I'm going to tell you, right, I've narrowed it down to 3, but I have picked one. Right, I have picked one. And I'll give you them.
In the thumbnail, by the way, if anybody's wondering.
I've narrowed it down to these 3 for different reasons. Right, I'm going to start with one that's maybe a wee bit left field. I'm going to start with a tag team title.
Yes.
Right. So
I like it.
I was torn between 2 tag team titles. I was torn between the world tag team titles, like mid 2000s
The
world
first
tag
band
teams.
split.
Yes.
Aye, with the kind of red in the middle. Aye.
Yeah, but what I've settled on is the WWF Winged Eagle tag titles because they're fucking incredible. They are in third because they are a tag title, right? But I actually really enjoy tag team wrestling. I think
Can I just back you up and say that when we talked about the TLC matches and said it was tag team wrestling that made me fall in love with wrestling back in the day, and when they brought out the current version of WWE Tag Team Champion, I was so glad they went back to that sort of style. Like they're on my list.
Remember the red and blue branded titles that were fucking horrific? They looked like 10-pence pieces. So
they were on my. I think they made honourable mentions in my head, but they were up there as part of that conversation. So I'm in total agreement with you.
WWF Winged Eagle tag team titles are third on my list, and then I had a real quandary here. Right, there was some honourable mentions that didn't make the cut, like the spinner, the WWE spinner belt made the honourable mentions. The US title made the old US title again mid 2000s era was brought up and made
the one that's sitting in Forgotten Worlds that I'm going to go and buy next week.
Yes. That also made the honourable mentions. As did, and this is probably a bit left field, I really liked the Divas Championship. I thought it fit the era.
It fit the era. Okay, I
liked it. I made the honourable mentions. I hated the old women's world title. I think it looked horrible. I thought the Divas one was a step up. But I'm going to give you what came in second. Right. The first big gold NXT title is second for me. Right. See the thin strap that had the NXT on it. I liked it.
Excellent.
But I didn't like it as much as the big gold. And the reason for that is it was a nice modernisation on the title that's number one. And in the period where NXT Black and Gold got its revamp and that title became a thing, it was the flagship show in my opinion. It was the best show to watch. The quality, the standard, everything about it was amazing. The takeovers were often better than the actual PLEs that followed them on that weekend. The takeovers were fucking incredible. And the likes of I could list about 100, but the big gold NXT title, the first iteration after the thin strap, is second on my list, and Saunders might be able to get you a graphic to put on it, but yeah, it gets second, and the reason it's second is because my favourite title of all time is Big Gold. The World Heavyweight is my favourite title of all time. The reason being, I've said this before, I've always been a John Cena fan, right? But John Cena wasn't the guy that made me fall in love with wrestling. I started watching the first episode of SmackDown I ever watched was Randy Orton's debut. Is the first ever, and it was just random that it was the first SmackDown ever. I don't think it was the first wrestling show I ever watched, but it was the first SmackDown. I think we'd recently got Sky TV, and I was going crazy. And the big gold belt, the Evolution storyline where he wins it, the thumbs go down, the power bomb, but also 09 Orton, where he held both straps. He had the WWE title and the big gold. Nobody has looked cooler than that in their entire life than Bald Orton did with those two straps. Big gold is just everything a wrestling belt should be. If you're going to say that this is the best belt in the world, it should be a big fuck off piece of gold. That's exactly what it should be.
I love this segment, by the way.
And it's been replicated. People have tried to replicate it. If you look at the other company, who have got about fucking 600,000 titles, their world title is an attempt at big gold. That's what it looks like. For me, it was so far clear of the WWE title at the time. The WWE title had not stepped up for Winged Eagle. It didn't look anywhere near as good. And big gold was just the title I wanted to hold. Growing up as a child, and all my favourites held it. It was great when John Cena held it because I was a massive John Cena fan. But the first guy that made me fall in love with wrestling was Randy Orton, and to watch him win the big gold, it's just always been number one for me, and I don't think anything will knock it off.
I'm sorry everybody doesn't have to sit here for 2 hours because I actually keep talking wrestling, but
it's fine. We'll spin this into a mini.
Aye, we can spin it if we need to, but I'm going to jump in just with everything up to number one, and I'm going to go let Ross do your list, and then I'll come back at the end because you and I shared a glance at one point on Daz's conversation. So I'm interested to see where you take it versus where I'm going to take this. So I did the same thing. The early 2000s tag titles, that was the sort of Hardys, ANC, Dudley's was an honorable mention for me because I just love that design. To me, any title belt that's not in WWE that's tag title belt in the E that's not that shape is wrong. that's how it feels totally to me over the years. The thumbnail, I've done the thumbnail for the video podcast, so I can share what's on. I've stuck the winged eagle on there. Now, it just predates my full involvement in as a wrestling fan, so I can't take it from that version. And I did like some other titles, like the old IC title belt back in the early 2000s I loved. I think that the first undisputed title that kind of ended with JBL losing to Cena, I think that's such an underrated title. I think it looks amazing. It's a big fuck off piece of gold, but it's a different spin on it. I think it works really, really well, what you've just said. So I had that sort of that third place honorable mention type thing. Number two for me is Big Gold Belt. For every reason you've said, it just says World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion on it.
Oh, what a shock! What number one is it?
It was. I'll just get to that in a minute. Fuck it, Ross. You'll stay away now. It was a World Championship belt for nearly 30 years, and as you said, both the big companies have essentially their versions of it right now. And I wanted to pick it as number one, right? And you know where I'm going with this.
Oh, of course.
But I just, when I move tomorrow, and when I finally get my setup, even the temporary setup I'll have for a few months, the first title on a shelf behind me is going to be the spinner. And because of that, I have to put the spinner number one. I love it. I don't want to pick it number one. I want to be part of the IWC and says it's a fucking rapper's gimmick and it's this and it's that. But
I loved it.
God damn it, I love John Cena as a spinner title. I will just sit here.
Do you have the same love? Do you have the same love for the US spinner? I'm only kidding. That's a loaded question. That one was a gimmick. That one was a gimmick title. Definitely, because the good thing about the spinner title is that I don't even think John's spinner is the best. I think Edge's iteration of the spinner.
That's bold.
What is the only one?
He hates it as well.
I know, and that's why I think it's funny. But you can cope.
I wanted to put Big Gold belt looks like a World Heavyweight Championship. Like I wanted to put number one, but I'm going to buy a spinner belt, and that's where it sits for me. And that's why I picked that one. Ross, you want to understand your thoughts?
I mean, I feel like I'm rehashing old ground, but I'm just going to spin you a yarn anyway because, well, otherwise,
it's good fun.
What are we even doing here? I didn't think of a list. I didn't sit down and go, oh, well, let's take a trip down memory lane. I just kind of went and asked myself the question, what was the coolest belt? And the one thing came to mind immediately. And these two have spoiled it by including it in their lists and mentioning it already. But I'm going to take you back a little bit to the history of it. So it was 20 years ago and 3
My God,
months.
We're so old.
Yep, 2005. It was when he beat GBL at WrestleMania and he introduced it. Now, that thing lasted till 2013, but it wasn't just a Cena belt. You know, like Triple H, Orton, Punk, Hardy, RVD, Mysterio. They all had it. But they never ever changed it other than, as Daz alluded to there, Edge got his one spinner with the R instead. That thing was just cool. And it was because, well, let's face it, right? Wrestling is meant to be a little bit goofy. And the idea of a thing spinning is a little bit goofy, but it's also a lot of fun.
I actually think the hate it gets now is justified because if they had that title in this day and age, it would look fucking ridiculous.
It probably would.
See, in 2005, it was the fucking shit.
Different time,
it looked
wasn't it?
Incredible.
I don't think it helped, but that it was replaced by
that piece of shit.
The network logo and nothing. I know the first version got tweaked because The Rock had the big champion. It was actually slightly better than the second version that came, which was part of this whole thing of every title will look the exact same.
I hate the new different titles. I hate it.
They're boring in comparison, but Ross, continue because I'm really enjoying this. I'm sitting there smiling like fucking 15-year-old.
That was kind of it. Was between then to what 20 was it 2012, 2013 was when they then retired it. You get the new version of it, as you say, and it just kind of got consigned to history, even though to this day they kind of use that variation. It's kind of what they use from then on in some capacity.
Pick a second
No,
and
like,
third. I just want to hear you talk more
I
about
don't,
titles.
you know,
Pick a
honestly,
second.
I don't even have them. It was just immediately, what is the cool belt? And the spinner was what came to mind immediately. Like, yes, the NXT belt, great. Big gold, great. But it's just not the spinner. So it's like,
Let me ask you a
could have
question
all
then, right?
these-
Because I feel like I'm not going to spend too much longer time because we could literally be here for another
I
45
know.
minutes, right? I'm just going to ask you the two questions, right? I'm going to start with the IC title. Black strap or white strap?
White strap.
Ross?
Yeah, white
Yeah,
strap.
good. We're all in agreement. White strap. Let me throw a spanner in the works. White strap or blue strap?
Oh, what did the blue strap one actually look like?
That looked like the white
I
one,
would
but
have
it was
to
blue.
go.
White strap.
Ross is vigorously Googling.
I'm
The blue strap IC
oh
title.
yeah, white strap. I'm
Yeah,
not a
no,
fan
that's
of that
fine. We're all
blue.
in agreement. My other question is, should they revamp the world title or the world heavyweight championship? Now, given the world heavyweight's fairly new, do the titles need a revamp?
Yes.
Probably due one.
I think the world heavyweight title should go another 18 months to 2 years and then get a revamp. And I think it needs to be held by a top 5 guy who does the whole, it's time to modernise, bring it into whatever, that gives a spiel, but the reason it changes, i.e. a Roman, a Seth, a CM Punk, that type of level of person. The WWE Championship probably isn't going to change too much because it's the network logo. It's, you know what I mean? But the outline and design has basically now been the same as Ross has just said for 12 years. It's too fucking long. It's boring. Do something else.
It's a long
They
time.
also need to rid the women of the white straps. I don't think that the white strap belts are appealing at all, and I think that's why it needs a revamp. Because the IC title looks incredible with the white strap, but see the white women's world title, it's awful looking.
See, I prefer that to the WWE women's. I don't know why. I just think it works.
No, I'm not saying that I like that one.
Aye.
Because remember the four of them had the same belt. It was just white straps and red straps for the Universal, and it just looked awful and generic. And I think they should do something different. See if, especially with Cena saying it's going to ruin wrestling, take the title with him. It's the perfect opportunity to rebrand your WWE title, rebrand it, get the big stupid W off it, and I don't know, put the Rock's face on it or something, since he's clearly in charge. But yeah, and I would like to throw out a suggestion for next week's end of the show.
We've got about 8 now, but I go for it.
I would like to throw out a suggestion. What was your favourite non-Big Four PLE growing up? Because
like
we had
it.
so many back in the day. But
Are you wanting like
sorry, pay-per-view, they weren't PLEs.
so are you wanting us to say like I really enjoyed Judgment Day every year or whatever, or do you want us to say I liked Judgment Day 2001 and this is the reason why you want the series?
Specific events.
I like that.
And
'Cause
come with 3 because I really enjoyed this.
I've got 2 already, and you already know what
I've
one
got
of them
about
is.
9 in my head already, and I think Cena won them all. So
I'm predating Cena back to having VHS tapes, and I'll just throw a spoiler in, letting say there was 6 people inside a cell at one point. So
what a show! I wonder where that could have happened. But yeah, I think that would be a good one to do.
Aye. Guys, you're into listening or watching, let us know down in the comments what you think of these wee segments. I know we've dragged it on and we're now nearly 2 hours, and part of me thinks we should just go another 6 minutes and get there, and part of me thinks we should just keep it under. But
I can do 6 minutes in the Divas title if you like.
But maybe we look to record these in the same section and spin them off completely till in a week, or we just keep doing them and knowing that we won't have 12 matches to predict every week. But we'll close the podcast there. It's been a bumper episode. I don't even remember what was the first match predicted. All I know is that Sami Zayn's the world champion material.
Correct.
And we'll be back next week to get back through the same 12 matches and figure out what the fuck just happened.
I'd like to also request that we only review 8 of the matches and we cut 4. The 4 worst matches we don't talk about.
I think we will.
And Sami Zayn is definitely one of them because I didn't want to talk about it tonight, but
we'll pull some
well,
matches.
there's a couple that don't really need the attention.
Aye. Keep an eye out on TikTok and the usual socials for any other plans of the weekend. Well, I'm not 100% sure if we'll be live. I may lose a internet this weekend.
This guy. This guy.
I'm hoping to be there. And we'll see how it goes. But we'll almost certainly be live tweeting it and available for messages and comment on it. And we'll close the podcast on there. So from Daz.
Peace, and I will catch everyone over the weekend on TikTok Live if you are there.
Roscoe.
You may have an appearance from me, certainly for night 1. I will do my best to be involved at the beginning. Pleasure as always, gents.
Alright, take it easy guys, and we'll catch you in the next one.